that. Woo! All right. Before we get out of breath, how's it going? It's good to see you guys. We are so excited to be here. This is a unique thing. I don't know if you've been here on the weekends, but once in a while they do things like this where it's like a worship night, which means it's music all night. Yes, there's no escaping. We will be here the whole time. So yeah, but it's honestly one of my favorite things. And it's really cool that all of us up here are students. Like, how about that? Look at everybody up here. That's all students. How about that? This is pretty cool. So, coming into the night, we're like, all right, we want a fun song, so I couldn't think of a better one to just get that rolling, because that's such a fun one. And we got some newer ones coming through tonight that maybe you've never heard before. But I encourage you, as we come through some of these new songs, that maybe you can approach worship in a different way. A lot of times it's easy for us to just like, all right, yep, another song, kind of like singing through the motions, but some of these are going to be newer to you. So I encourage you to take the advantage of that, slow down, think about the words, and yeah, we're going to do a couple different things tonight where there's an opportunity for you to worship in different ways, because worship isn't just singing, so there's a bunch of other things we can do. So yeah, until then, let's just keep singing. How about that? This one's called My Lighthouse. In my wrestling and in my doubt, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubles. You are the peace in my troubles. All right, sing it out. In the silence, you won't let go. In the question, the truth. Great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubles. You are the peace in my troubles. My lighthouse, shining in darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and sing. Your love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubles. Oh, you are the peace in my troubles. Come on, sing it out. My lighthouse, shining in darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storm. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Hey, fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storm. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storm. Hey, my lighthouse, shining in darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. favorite things to do with songs is you're like, all right, so we pick up a new song. You're like, okay, I've never heard this song before, but it's kind of catchy, you know? I kind of got that feeling to it. But something cool is like somebody has to write this, you know? So it's not like this song just appears out of nowhere. So I like looking at songs and figuring out like who wrote them and like kind of what the heart was behind it. And a lot of times, things like worship songs, since they're just like an open opportunity for us to respond to God, which one of the clearest things He's given to us is Scripture. So a lot of times there's like a verse, like a section that people can like see, like, oh yeah, that really means a lot to me. Kind of like are inspired to write a certain song. So this next song called Sinking Deep, I was like, oh, this is a good one. It's a favorite one of ours. So like, I don't know what this is based on. So this is a verse here out of Romans chapter 8. You should have one up on the slides here, yeah. So you say, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? As it is written, for your sake we will be killed all the day long. We are regarded as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in creation would be able to separate us from the love of Christ, Jesus our Lord. How cool is that? Like, this is a simple thing for us to see. Like, this song is based on like a calling out to God, that there's an opportunity for us to go so deep, so with Him in His presence, that will be with His love. So let's sing the song in like a new way today. Standing here
in your presence, in a grace so relentless, I am won by perfect love, wrapped within the arms of heaven, in a peace that lasts forever, sinking deep in mercy sing. I'm wide awake. Draw me closer by grace, and all my heart is yours. And all fear removed, I breathe you in, I lean into your love. And oh, your love. When I'm lost, you pursue me. Lift my hands to see your glory, Lord above. So beautiful. Here in you I find shelter, captivated by the splendor of your face. My secret place. I'm wide awake. Drawing closer by grace, you know my heart is yours. Your fear removed, I breathe you in, I lean into your love. Oh, your love.
See your love so deep.
So deep, His washing over me. Your face is all I seek. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one Your face is all I seek. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry, to know you all my life.
God, that truly is our prayer. God, that you become that one desire. You become that one thing that we can't stop at longing for. God, help us tonight. Continue to seek. Continue to show us where that place is. Help us to see in a new way just how great you are and how we can reflect through that. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. So you guys can take a seat here pretty quick. So another thing that we may or may not have stolen from the weekend worship team is something called, something we've done here a little bit. It's a little bit more acoustic worship. So we decided to really strip it down. So now it's just two of us up here. But I think there's something just to be said about when there's just less people to pay attention to. Because I would say, like, in theory, it's like, oh yeah, you don't want to stare at people on stage, but there's still this thing of like, oh yeah, it's just something in front of my face to look at, whether it's good or bad. But I want to invite you to use this time. We got a 3-song set here. Just use this time to encounter worship differently. There's something unique about having an opportunity just to sit and be in God's presence. And this is just a wonderful way to do it. Just being calm and quiet, and not focus on the people around you, but rather just in the song that's happening. So this is another one of our favorite songs called Here's in Heaven. I think there's just not a more fitting song that all has to do with resetting and recognizing like the atmosphere around us. Like this song literally says, here as in heaven. I like this. I just love the chorus. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. It's almost like this call to him. You know, it's not just a song we sing. When we think about the simple words that we sing, these are like calls to God, you know? It's like a simple prayer to him. So let's sing this song together. The atmosphere. And the atmosphere is changing now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here, and the evidence is all around. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. Sing it again. And the atmosphere is changing now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here, yeah. And the evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Oh, overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. The atmosphere is changing now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here, yeah. evidence is all around. That Spirit of the Lord is here, and the atmosphere is changing now. That the Spirit of the Lord is here, and the evidence is all around. That the Spirit of the Lord is here, oh, overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. Another cool thing we're going to do tonight is people giving their testimony, because that's another true act of worship, of somebody's obedience to simply share their story. Because whenever you hear somebody like says their testimony, it's usually yeah, well, I did all these cool things in my life, I grew up in a Christian home. But it's so cool when you're given the opportunity to say, this is God's story. This is so much more than my own story. This is what God has done working through my life. So we have an opportunity to have 2 testimonies tonight. So yeah, I just invite you guys to give them their full attention and just appreciate and see what God has done in their lives.
So this is Veronica. She's awesome, and she has one heck of a story. And it takes a lot of courage to stand up in front of a room full of your peers, people that are younger than you, people that are older than you, and be this raw and this real. And we're just so proud of how brave you are to share this today. So let's just give our full attention to Veronica as she shares her story.
All right, so I'm Veronica, and I'm a freshman at North. So I want everybody to close their eyes right now. And I want you to raise your hand if you've ever been through something hard. Now keep your hands up, but open your eyes and look around. Pretty sure everybody's got their hand up. See, I think we've all been through something hard, even if it's just something little like forgetting to do your homework and getting in trouble, or if your parent leaves to go to the military or jail, it's hard. But today I'm going to talk about how for a lot of my life, I felt like God wasn't looking out for me, and I just couldn't understand why this was happening to me. So when I was in 3rd grade, I began realizing that there was something kind of off going on in my life. And I was curious, so I looked around our house and I found bottles of alcohol everywhere. And every time I looked, it would be after my dad left to go to work, and there would always be more and more and more. After the 3rd time it happened, I realized that there was a problem. And I didn't want to say anything about it because I thought God would be mad at me for practically ratting out my dad for something that I just didn't understand. In 5th grade, my mom and dad thought it would be a good idea for me to go to Chicago with my dad while he was on one of his work trips. On Friday, we loaded up all of our stuff and we got into the van. About 30 minutes later, we stopped for some gas. I heard the back door of the van open, and so I looked behind me to see what was going on. And what I saw was 3 bottles of Captain Morgan, which is alcohol, in my dad's open duffel bag. He was drinking and driving the entire trip. About 2 hours after we had stopped for gas, my dad seemed kind of lost in his mind somewhere. and out of nowhere, I see a car heading towards us, and we're in the middle of the road. Without thinking, I grabbed the wheel and I pulled us back into our lane. My dad looked at me so angry, asking why I had just done this, but I just couldn't respond. But all I could think about was, why would God do this to me? Why? Multiple times on that drive, we almost went off the road, or we almost hit a car. And so many times I thought, I'm gonna die here, and I'm gonna be killed by my drunk father. I tried praying to God that it was all just a dream, and that it wasn't really happening, but I knew it was, and I just didn't want to believe it. At this point, I started to believe that God wasn't looking out for me, and he just didn't love me anymore. So I stopped praying, and I stopped worshiping him. In October of 2015, my mom sent us to our friend's house because she said that they had asked if we could play. About 2 hours later, we heard a knock on the door, and their mom asked my brother and I to come downstairs. My dad was in the doorway, tears in his eyes, telling us that everything was gonna be all right. But I knew it wasn't. My mom had just kicked him out because he decided to go on a non-required work trip instead of rehab. The mom was my mom's best friend, Miss Karina. She always felt like another mother to me because her dad had done the same thing, and she just knew exactly what we were going through. When I was in Rush, that was around the same time, and I started to go really, really close to Roxanne. She's the family pastor here, for those of you who don't know her. And she started to show me that God is there in the hard times, and that after everything was done, there would be something amazing there. At the Milwaukee Art Museum, they have a piece called The Laid Table by Beth Littman. And at first glance, you can see that it looks like a beautiful set table, but at another look, you can see that there are broken plates and vases with glass all over the table. This reminds me of life, because when you first meet someone, it seems like they have it all together and everything's perfect, but on the inside, they're broken. But God can clean up all the broken plates, and he can buy new ones, and he can rearrange the table so it's beautiful again. God did this to me. He cleaned up my broken life and made a gorgeous masterpiece by putting people in my life that helped me realize how putting my faith in him could really change me. A year after we got back from Chicago, I decided it was time to finally tell my mom what happened. She started crying and continuously apologizing, saying that she was so sorry. And I just kept saying, it's okay, it wasn't your fault. But she told me it wasn't, and that I don't always have to say that it is. After she said this, I realized that it wasn't okay, and I had to stop brushing it off. Because I had been hiding all these emotions and events from my brother and my mom to try and help them, but all it was doing was destroying me. I felt like I had to be a parent to my little brother Max because my dad was going off the rails and my mom was trying to fix him and be a perfect working single mom for us. Even though she was going through a lot, she always seemed to be there for me when I needed to talk or get away from anything. Due to everything that went on in my childhood, I'm so jealous of the people that have a happy family and people that don't have to go to a counselor to try and get over it. Every time I think that I'm finally getting better, something happens and it just triggers everything to bring all the pain back. I I think that feeling like I had to be more mature and older just to shape my experiences and attitudes about others by making me feel that I was less than them or I had to work my hardest to be as good as them, when really I don't. For my speech this year, I did an informative speech on how alcohol and alcoholism affects families. And in my speech, I talked about how drinking can make a person change their priorities, open the door for abuse, and create financial problems. For each statement, I also told some of my life story with it. I got the amazing chance to go to state with my speech, and I did pretty well with it. And the whole reason why I joined forensics was just to gain therapy, because I couldn't find anything else that could help me. And I also realized that I'm pretty good at it, and I found something that I actually like to do. And I also moved people with my story. I had so many judge comments telling me how brave I was and how amazing it was that I shared my story. And I also realized I met one of my best friends there. And God puts so many things in your life that you may see negatively, but it really just ends up being amazing. I know that a lot of you have a lot going on in your lives, but you just don't know what to do about it or who to talk to about it. Shua, Jordan, Tana, or your small group leaders are great people who will listen to you and they will help you through it. If any of you have been through something similar to me and you want to talk to somebody who can relate, I can sit down and talk to you, because I know the feeling that no one understands you, it's hard, but there are people that do understand you. You just have to ask.
It's a really powerful story. It's amazing to see someone like that who's had that much struggle and that much pain in their life, or someone so close to them to do that, just to be able to see the good in that, to see that God continues to work through the good things and the hard. And sometimes it's so hard to see. We're going to finish up this song and sing the bridge. And if you feel throughout the next 3 songs or so that you want some prayer, or you want to worship in a different way, we have a room over here on your left side with some of the people through student leadership team there to pray for you. If that's what you want to do, if you want to reflect in a different way and go out and pray with one of your friends and just be honest, I really hope that through these songs, God just tears us something in your heart. Helps you see something you haven't seen before. But yeah, if you want to go out in the other room, we have some art and a letter to your future self. If that's the way you want to worship tonight. Otherwise, we'll keep on doing worship here. Feel free to stand up, if you want to pray and talk to the people around you, just pray you do it respectively. But your leaders are such great resources. If there's something hard in your life, if there's something good and you want to talk to them about, great, talk to them about. But I hope God touches you here today as we're here to do some more worship. So let's finish this bridge. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Your kingdom come,
your will be done here as in heaven. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Your kingdom come, your will be done here as in heaven. Oh, yeah. Oh, may you surround us, God. As we A miracle can happen now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here, and the evidence is all around. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. Just the voices. A miracle can happen now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here, and the evidence is all around, that the Spirit of the Lord is here. During this next song, we're going to sing. We're going to have a scripture up on the screen up here. It's a Psalm on 139. And we're going to give you an opportunity to have something to reflect over. So this is just a passage from Psalms that's all about God's love and just continuing the theme of how his presence oversees all of us and how it continues to surround us no matter where we are. So in this time, I really encourage you to head over to the other room if you want to try some of the different ways to worship, the art and writing the letter yourself. Maybe that's not the thing you usually do. Well, go try it. Something different. So we're going to be singing this song, but there's going to be no lyrics up on the screen. So there's going to be the verse up there, and I encourage you to try something different. Either reflect in that song or reflect in the song we're singing, reflect in the scripture. If you need prayer, there's still people in the room next door if you want to go talk to them or try some other ways to worship. But here we go. How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretched stranger. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart, his wounds have paid my ransom. Behold a man upon a cross, my sin upon his shoulders. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that
brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom. But this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom. picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. And when I thought I lost me, you knew where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love. You picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. And hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better your way. And hallelujah, great defender. So much better your way.
Just the voices.
Hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better your way. Hallelujah, great defender. So much better your way.
God, thank you so much. God, thank you for how personal you can be. God, how you created each one of us individually, that you know who we are, and we know how we work. You know simple things about us. Sometimes the people around us don't even know. Thank you so much that you are a defender, that you choose to defend who we are. God, when we seek refuge, you truly do defend us, whether it's the way we want us to or not. Help us to see that you truly are the defender of our love. So the next song we have is this song called Constant Thread. It's actually a song by a guy you probably see on the weekends. If you come here on the weekends, there's a bearded guy. This guy's named Grant, and he has a band. Actually, he's on tour with them right now. And it's a really powerful song. It kind of brings us back to our normal worship set. But it's another song about how God's presence is constant. How he's always around us. I love just this call of this song, another call out to God. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart, to the beat of your heart. Keep pulling me close to where you are, to where you are. Let's sing it together. There's a constant thread keeps pulling me along, and it's never broken yet. No matter how we stretch, awaken my soul to the beat of your heart, to be your heart. Keep pulling me close to where you are, to where you are. Oh, I push and I pull, and I confess that I've let go, but you've never let go. You won't let go. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart, to the beat of your heart. Keep pulling me close
close to where you are, to where you are. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart, to the beat of your heart. Keep pulling me close to where you are, to where you are. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart. Pulling me close to where you are. Awaken my soul to the beat of your heart. Pulling me close to where you are. There's a constant threat. Oh, it keeps pulling me along. It will never break, it will never break. It's your love, it's your love, it's your love.
The next song we're going to sing, I encourage you guys to stand up. It's a song by Phil Wickham called Living Hope. And it's all about a celebration. Because that's truly what worship is, the celebration of what God's done and our reaction to Him, to give Him the worth that He is truly worthy of. This song so beautifully talks about the resurrection here in verse 3. I love this part. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, let that be true. As we sing this to you, let this idea be true. Thank you so much that you truly are the roaring lion, that you've already defeated death. You defeated all these things in our lives that we don't have control over anymore. God, that you've defeated these things. They no longer have value, but rather we can celebrate our new life in you. Let's sing about this living hope that we have. In Jesus' name, amen.
How great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountains I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. You could imagine so great a mercy, what heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages
step down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings knows me is own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, a roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, a roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Oh God, you are my living hope.
Amen. We have another testimony here for you. It's going to be on video, so guys have a seat and enjoy.
Hi everybody, I'm Sean. I went to Altoona. I graduated recently, and I've always had this great, loving Christian family that has been supporting of me for forever. And I've been baptized when I was around 6 or 7. It was kind of one of my decisions that I didn't know quite what I was doing, but I felt like it was the next step of what I was doing because, you know, God was calling me to do that. But one that kind of helped until middle school, it got very confusing. People kept saying, you know, the resurrection, that just doesn't happen, or, you know, there's no being watching over us. And it really made me question who God was, or even if there was a God. But then freshman year I got really sick, so I stayed home and I was just sitting there, and then I couldn't think, I couldn't comprehend much of anything, and I realized I really have to text my mom. I have to go to the hospital. I have no idea what's going on. So I texted my mom. She comes home, and we go to the emergency room, and they do a scan of my head, and they say, yeah, we need to get you to a neurosurgeon right away. There's a mass on your head that we have no idea or the technology to figure out what it is or how to fix it. So we're gonna send you over to Gillette Children's Hospital over in Minnesota. And I got there, and they did another scan of some sort, and they said, yeah, you have a brain tumor. So I said, oh, okay. The doctor said, for one, it was the most pressure that he's ever seen on a brain in his entire 12 years of being a neurosurgeon, and that it was just over the size of a standard golf ball. But luckily, it only took an hour, because the way that it formed, it was the tumor, but then there was a cyst that formed around it that kind of just held it in place and not connected it to anything. And it was just sitting there, and he could take it out really easily. Someone came in from the University of Minnesota saying, this whole thing is completely unlikely, and the size of this slow-growing tumor, it's like you would have to have been almost born with this tumor, and you're only now realizing it 14 years later. Now I'm getting out like 33 days later. That doesn't just happen. I realized that God was there with me the whole time, that He was watching over me, and I didn't have to worry about anything because it was in His hands. I can just trust in Him no matter what the situation is. I know that He is there with me, knowing exactly what I should be doing, knowing exactly what's going to happen, that I am going to be okay, and He is in control.